Welcome back to React.js full tutorial series for absolute beginners. In today's episode, we are going to learn about useState hook. In the previous episode, I gave you an introduction and overview of hooks. Today we'll start deep diving into each one of the hook and learn how to use them in our functional components. Let's get started. This is part 23 of the series. If you have missed out on any of the previous episodes, this is the playlist index for you. Make sure that you go through them, learn whatever you're missing or you have missed. Today we are learning about useState hook. useState is a React hook used to add state to functional components. A lot of beginners get confused with the word state. State is nothing but an instance at that point of time. For example, if you have a value of a equal to 10, at any point of time if that value of a changes, that becomes a new state for the variable a. So state essentially is just a snapshot of data at that point of time. useState always returns an array with two elements, the current state and a function that will update that value. You can use useState multiple times in a single component to manage multiple pieces of state. State updates with useState are merged but do not replace the entire state object. This is just a theory. I'm going to cover each one of them in the hands-on so that will be more clear to you. Last point, when you call the update function returned by useState, React will re-render the component with the new state. Right? So we are going to go and implement all of this in a hands-on now. Let's get started. Alright, so we are building a credit card portal. So I'm going to have a new component. I'm going to say set app status.js. Okay, what this will do is this will set the loan application status to true or false, active or inactive. Right, that's the simplest use case I can talk about. The first thing, let's do a React import, and since we are learning about how to use the hook use state, let's bring it in as well. Now that you have the we have imported, let's create our functional component, which is set app status. The first thing I will do is export default set app status. The next thing we should do is always start with the return, what it will return. Now here let's throw in a h1 and say current or say set application status, and we will also show the current application status, right, or you can just say application status. And last we'll also have a button, and through which we'll add some event to it, and we will say let's say toggle application status. That's the method we will implement. Say toggle application status. Dead simple component, just one button and some HTML, and we are saying clicking on this should toggle the application status. That's the required behavior that we want. So the first thing we'll do is implement this method, say const, and it's just a method, so that's how it would look. The next thing that we'll do is, since we are learning how to use useState, I'm going to create a status here, and I told you it will be an array which will have two elements. First is the actual initial value, let's call it status. Then a function which will update that value. It will always start with set, okay, and then followed by whatever name you have given, put as status. So now take a look at it again. The name followed by the set and then the name of the same value, okay, and then you will say useState and initial value, let's say active. So here I'm creating a new status which has the initial value as active. We will use this method set status to update this value. So I'm saying whenever user clicks on this particular button, we will call this method. Inside this we will call set status, update the new value to inactive. Alright, that's as simple as that. You have an initial state of status, its value is active. Whenever user clicks on the button, we will toggle the status and make it inactive. Right? Now let's go ahead and use this in our app.js and see how it works. We need to import this, so that's the component I have added. Let's go to our application, and now you see set application status. Current application status is nothing, but clicking on toggle, it's nothing is happening. Let's see why. You go here and you have these, because we are not displaying it, so here we will use that variable status to display the current status. So I've added it here. Now let's go back, so you can see it here, it's inactive. Let me refresh. Initial state is active. I click on it, it becomes inactive. But the desired behavior we want is that it should toggle, right? So we can add the condition there. So we can say let new status equal to, and here I'm going to use a ternary operator and say status, if status is equal to active, then return inactive, or else make it active. Alright, so now we will just set the new status here. So this will check if the status is active, it will then set it to inactive. If not, it will make it active. Right? So now, and we are setting the new status using set status method. So this will toggle now. Let's go back. It's inactive. I click on it, it becomes active. So see, this is changing the state of this particular thing dynamically using useState. Now we can call this multiple times in this particular component whenever we need some action to be happening. Let's say, for example, I have one more button, second toggle, let's say, and let's call it second toggle, right? And then implement this. So I'm just showing you how you can use the useState multiple times. And here I can pass any value that I want. I can pass a string and I'll say second toggle called. Okay, and then go back. Now I have two. I click on it, it becomes active and inactive here. I click on second toggle, it says second toggle called. Again I'm clicking on toggle, it's back to this, right? So I am using the same set status to send different value. That's the beauty of set status, that is using useState. I hope this example is clear to you. I hope now going forward you will be able to understand what this means. This means you are initially setting a value of active for status, and using the set status you are updating the value based on certain events in the component. I hope that's the simplest and best explanation I can give you to make you understand. If you still have any doubts, write to me in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you. Please do show me some love. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. In the next episode we will continue our learning on React.js. We will use use effect hook. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next episode.